Welcome back, everyone. It's time for Throwback Thursday.
Welcome to the Lessons for Success podcast. I'm your host, Adam Wardlaw, middle school science teacher and high school football coach in South Carolina, USA. Thank you for tuning into the podcast heard by nearly 3,000 people across 17 countries, as well as almost every state here in America. These episodes are intended to be short and beneficial lessons to help you get more out of your life. You can keep up with the show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and even TikTok by searching at L4S Show. And remember, that's the number 4. If you're listening on an iPhone, go ahead and give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts to help keep our growing community going. Now let's start the show. Mohandas Gandhi is easily one of the most recognizable faces in the world. But did you know on March 12, 1930, he began one of his most famous acts of civil disobedience, a 241-mile march to the Arabian Sea in protest of the British taxes being placed on salt. In this episode, we're going to look at the life of Gandhi and the details of this historical event. Welcome back, everybody. It's Throwback Thursday here on the Lessons for Success show, and that means we're going to look back in history and see what lessons we can learn from these moments in time. On March 12, 1930, Indian independence leader Mohandas Gandhi began a defiant march to the sea in protest of the British monopoly on salt, his boldest act of civil disobedience against British rule in India at the time. Gandhi was an Indian lawyer and a political activist who employed non-violent resistance to lead the successful campaign for India's independence from British rule. Gandhi would also inspire movements for civil rights and freedom across the world for years to come. He's a poster boy for peaceful protest and one of the most recognizable faces in history. In 1930, Britain's Salt Acts prohibited Indians from collecting or selling salt, which is a staple in the Indian diet. Citizens were forced to buy the mineral from the British, who exerted a heavy salt tax. Although India's poor suffered most under the tax, Indians required salt. Gandhi felt that defying the Salt Acts would be a simple way for many Indians to break British law non-violently. He declared resistance to British salt policies to be the unifying theme for his new campaign of mass civil disobedience. On March 12th, Gandhi set out with 78 followers on a 241-mile march to the coastal town of Dandi on the Arabian Sea. There, Gandhi and his followers were set to defy British law by making salt from seawater. Along the way, Gandhi spoke to large crowds, and every day an increasing number of people joined the movement. When they reached Dandi on April 5th, Gandhi was leading a crowd of tens of thousands. Gandhi spoke and led prayers, and early the next morning he walked down to the sea to make salt. This movement of resistance grew quickly, and before long millions of Indians were following suit by disobeying British law. Some 60,000 Indians were arrested for these acts, including Gandhi himself. Even after his arrest, the movement would continue. After some violent acts on the part of British police, the media would draw worldwide attention on the unfair laws being imposed by the British. Gandhi was released from prison in 1931, and in 1947, India would finally be granted its independence. Sadly, several months after this momentous occasion, Gandhi would be assassinated, and his life would come to a tragic end. So what can we learn from the life of Gandhi? I think a valuable idea he embodied was the notion of peaceful resistance. There are policies or events that you'll disagree with in your life. What we see many people do is go to the extreme to resist things they don't agree with. When you go to the extreme like that, you can often close off the other party, and a solution will never come about. In your disagreements, you must still show respect, because that's how the favor will be returned in most cases. In your daily life, your opposition may not be a large organization or other entity, but a single person whom you can't agree with or see eye to eye with about anything. These interactions can be difficult, but you must remain as respectful and understanding as possible if you want to reach a solution that works for you. We can thank Gandhi for the many great examples of peaceful resistance that have resonated with people around the world. That's all the time I have on today's episode. What are some ways that you try to manage conflict resolution? Send me your ideas by reaching out to the show on social media. Tomorrow's Friday, and that means it's our last episode for the week. I'm looking forward to talking to you all tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
Time for a quick commercial.
That's right, Ellie. This episode is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. And they'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. Places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. To get started, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today. Well, folks, that's it for another edition of the Lessons for Success podcast. Thank you for listening. Remember that you can keep up with the show wherever podcasts are found, as well as the newly updated Lessons for Success YouTube channel. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok to keep up with more content from the show. If you haven't already done so, give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That's all the time I have for today. Be sure to tune in for the next episode of the Lessons for Success show.